Andwell Brewing Company, Ruddy Data.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. I've got one here today from the sunny county of Hampshire, and it is the Andwell Brewing Company Ruddy Data. Now when it says data, it doesn't mean data as in data. It means data, I would imagine, as some form of something that runs around really quickly. Not one of my Harleys at the moment, they're all off the road. This intrigued me when I saw it available, and it's a rich red ruby ale, or rich ruby ale, which is my kind of thing. Now, ruby ales are ales that are sort of dark red in colour. Sometimes either get called red ales or ruby ales. But effectively, the classification, I think personally, is a bit ambiguous, because you could have very dark coloured bitters that sometimes get called ruby ale, but what I've got in my mind as a ruby ale, the characteristics would be very nice sweet malt, a little bit of spice, not too much, and a little bit of the British hop character, a little bit of earth, a little bit of peppery spice, if you know what I mean. But generally they're under 5%, and they're quite heavy on the malt character, usually crystal malt, slightly sweeter. There's a bit, how would I put this? A bit of a crossover between red ale and ruby ale. I think you're just arguing over semantics if you do that though. The two are very similar. But either way, red ale, ruby ale, whatever you want to call it, it's a very nice style. Usually the crystal malts give the malt a very nice sweet toffee or caramel flavour to it, and they go down quite well, and they're quite popular in the pubs too when they do have them on draft. Now one that I would consider a ruby ale would have been the Witchwood Hobgoblin, and that used to be really nice, believe it or not, but it's really gone down the pan lately. But that was a pretty good ruby ale in my opinion. Adnam's Broadside, yeah, it's quite high in the ABV, but when it's on draft, I'd consider that a ruby ale as well. But this is definitely a ruby ale, as the categorisation is listed on the bottle. And Andwell Brewing Company, they're from, as I say, they're from Hampshire. They're from a place that's called Hook, which is, well, they're actually from Andwell, which is near Hook, or Basingstoke, around that sort of area. And I don't know how long they've been going. There's not much information on the website. They're a micro brewer. They're in an little industrial unit by a river, and they do a range of lagers, IPAs, and this stuff as well. This is the only one I've got from theirs at the moment. I did have a look at some of the other stuff on their website, and I thought I'll go with this first. If this isn't good, then it's, you know, if you've got a beer style that you do like and they can't do that properly, you just think, well, do I really want to bother with them? But there you go. Just a little bit about this beer before I go into the facts about the beer. It contains rye. Rye is an adjunct, and it's a form of wheat, and it's used, well, no, it's not. That's a lie. It's not a form of wheat. It's a form of grain or malt, if you like, and it's an adjunct. It's considered an adjunct, and it's used not that much, but you do see it occasionally in beer. But there's a reason it's not widespread, and that's because it can, and this would affect home brewers, medium-sized brewers, craft brewers, and macro brewers as well. It can cause what's called a stuck mash, and that basically means when you go to filter the beer, it just all clogs together and generally causes a nightmare for the brewers. They have to get in there, try and separate it, and yeah, it just causes, I think it's called runoff, and that's where the beer is filtered out, but it will basically block it. The yeast won't be able to do its job properly, and yeah, it just basically almost ruins, unless you've got some skilled brewers, it almost ruins the batch of beer. So that's why it's not used that often. But when you do get it in beers, it does make a nice change. It gives it a little bit of a spicy taste to it, which is nice. But there you go. That's rye. Let's investigate the beer. Okay, 500ml bottle. It is 4.9%. It's a ruby ale, as they say. On the back, rich ruby ale with a fruity aroma. The beer includes malted rye to create its characteristic ruby glow. The flavours and aromas derive from a combination of English hops. Now that sounds good to me. That is my kind of thing. What does it say? Brewed by an assured... Percy's kicking off then. Brewed by an assured independent British brewery. Blah, blah, blah. Andwell Brewing, Hook in Hampshire. Store in a cool place, served cold at around 5 degrees. Oh, okay, served cold. Unusual for a ruby. Normally you get them cellar temperature. This is about cellar temperature now. Am I fucking showing you the cap right? There's what the cap looks like. I'll get it the right way up. And it's the Assured Independent British Craft Brewer. I don't know what that means. What, you know, whether it's just like an organisation or what, but there it goes. It looks almost like a supermarket beer. Let's hope it doesn't taste like one. Let's find out. Just trying to sort out that bloody autofocus. Fucking nightmare that bloody thing is. Right, there's the cap, as I just showed you. Oh, blimey, you can get some of that aroma straight away. Now rye also gives the beer a nice body to it as well. It's almost like wheat as an adjunct. It does give it more body, and it also gives it colour as well. Now that does look like a classic ruby ale. It's got an off-white one finger head. What are we getting on the nose? Yeah, that is the archetypal ruby ale. That's what I'd be expecting. Lovely spice and sweet malt. Like caramel, sweet caramel malt, but with a spicy note on the top. Almost like a pepper, nutmeg, that style of aroma. Oh, it does smell really good, I have to say. Lovely hop character coming through on that. Nice earthy and fruity notes. If this tastes as good as it smells, this is going to be a good one, because that really does smell good. Now it's not bottle conditioned as far as I know, so I'm just going to pour everything in, as I always do anyway. That's what it looks like. Looks very nice indeed. That is exactly what I'd be looking for in colour on a ruby ale. I don't know if you can see at the bottom there, but you may be able to get some of the ruby for it. That's what it looks like. Let's get it down the hatch. Bottoms up. Oh yes, that is nice. Very full-bodied. That's the first thing that hits me. Caramel and toffee malt coming through on that. Oh, and a really nice bit of spice on the back end. Combination of the rye and the hops. It doesn't give me a brew sheet. I can't tell you what hops they are, but it's like a Challenger style hop. Very bitter on the arse end, very spicy, bitter, but it's really nice. I do like this. And this came straight out of the fridge. It's slightly above cellar temperature, and I was a bit surprised to see that where they said serve it cold about 5 degrees, because to me that's a little bit colder than cellar temperature, but you can still get all them flavours, and they really are big. I do like this. This is a really nice one. It's a really good mouthfeel on that. Really good mouthfeel. I don't know what he's barking at. He ain't getting none of this. This is really nice. There's a lovely bitterness to this as well. Now, this is where that crossover and ambiguity comes into play. Now, that's got a really bitter finish on it. It's quite sweet on the malt, but the finish is quite bitter. And, you know, you could argue if that was sold as a bitter, I'd have absolutely no complaints about that whatsoever. But I think the ruby is just purely a description of the colour, because this really does taste like a bitter, a really good bitter. Don't get me wrong, it is nice, but very full-bodied, you know, and this is really big on the body. Oh, that is good. I'm really liking this. I may have to investigate this lot further, because that is fantastic. Oh, that I'm trying to get through to you how the bitterness is on this. It's a really nice bitter because it's balanced. It's balanced by the malt and the rye that's in here. Now, some of that spice that's on there is probably coming from the rye, as I said, but there is a lot of hop character on this too. But that's balanced out by quite sweet caramel and toffee malt, and altogether that really works. That's really nice, and typically British as well. Really good. So what's the verdict on Ruddy Data by the Andwell Brewing Company? That ain't bad. I'm impressed. Now, Ruby Ale is my thing. Yeah, and that just goes against everything I've just said, doesn't it? But I do like the dark style, malt forward British style beer. That's my thing when it comes to British beer. And this is a really nice one. It's not on a par with the Adnams Broadside, but it is really nice, I have to say. And it's very full-bodied. That's the thing that strikes me most about this, is the big body on it. Nice caramel and toffee flavours, earth, spice, and a long finish on that, which is quite bitter. It's a mixture of the of the toffee malt and that bitterness, and it works really well. I'm going to give that a 9 out of 10. I think it's that good. It's my kind of thing, you know, and if you like your dark coloured, malty bitters, then you're going to like this. This is a real nice one. Now, I don't know how widely available this is. This came from Beers of Europe, I think, or was it Honest Brew? It was one of the two, I cannot remember, but I looked on their website, and this is only available in, I think it's growlers, basically. I think you have to go there. But if you're in the Hampshire area, I do recommend this. But if you see this in bottles on Beers of Europe, or one of the big online beer retailers, or any of the online beer retailers, this is a really nice one. Very full-bodied, and it's the sort of stuff they drink up in the People's Republic of Yorkshire. But yeah, very nice indeed. 9 out of 10, recommended. And remember, beer is working class champagne.